want to welcome everybody. This is going to be a fun one. Our guest we'll get into here in a second. Before we do that, hey, Jason, I went and got my coffee, and I heard a little statement as I was walking away to go fill my coffee that the Swirl Killer coffee is a little strong for you. So we got our frozen version, the Broadway show version, Frozen. We've got that version coming out for you. It's the anti-hair on your chest coffee. Call it. So we'll get you a case of it out. So with that, let's go to today's topics. Chapter 11, 12, setting the bar for what we are facing. If we do know what we're facing, setting yourself up for future successes, setting up the business system processes, setting up your financial goals, which this is, between the SOPs and that's what I'm really into. That's what I'm really, on this next one, cleaning up your SOPs, applying new SOPs. I'm really excited about my guest today coming in with us. Fine-tuning your sales systems, the importance of mental, verbal, visual judo within your business. And I'll get into that. This is something that at a really young age, matter of fact, when I'm in my teens, one of my mentors, this picture in the background with the big lion and the cub is that, it's Dylan and Jason and myself. We've been around for a while, and it's some of you are younger than us, but a lot of you are just newer than us. And I think it's guys like us. It's our jobs to take and show you how we've gotten scarred up in the past. What's torn us up, what's hurt us. What a lot of people talk about what helps you, but a lot of people don't talk about, hey, don't go there. See that over
Learn
there?
from our mistakes, please.
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you what I did wrong, and so you don't do it.
Don't go there. Don't go there. So we want to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, we want these gentlemen to tell us all about themselves. So, Jason.
Oh, that's a fantastic picture there. That's my other passion. So most of you that know me know I have this big passion for shiny paint and teaching people how to do shiny paint. But my other passion is right there, doing the off-road Jeep thing. And that picture is in Moab, which at the moment I'm very disappointed I can't go there. If Moab was open right now, I'd be there instead of talking to you right now.
I don't blame you. I would be there with you.
It seems socially distant. I think you should be able to do that.
It's great. Don't you think? You think that, Yosemite, one of our friends put up a picture the other day of a crowded Walmart parking lot and then a campground. And the difference was vastly different, yet you can do one and you can't do the other.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason and I, we've been on the Jeep together a number of times.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun with it. And what year is your Jeep?
94.
Yeah, and it's slick. It's a nice Jeep.
Yeah, it's an oldie but goodie, and I've had it since new. And I've had lots of people say, "Hey, why don't you get a new one?" And I could if I wanted to, but I just don't want to.
No reason to.
Yeah.
No reason to. I'm excited about the Bronco Scout. I want to see what the Bronco Scout's going to look like.
Yeah.
That might move me to shuffle some things and get something fun and new. Just looks entertaining. So, kids, married, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, actually, my son is moving back to California this Friday, so he's found a job and a place to live in Sacramento.
Wow, good for him. Good for him.
He was laid off through this whole pandemic, but now he just found new work and new place to live, so he's out on Friday.
Cool. Right on. Well, good for him. Good for him. So this next guy, this is what I know you for, Dylan.
Yep.
You're at a different stage in your life than Jason and I, aka you're a little younger than us, and this is the stuff that should be happening in your life right now. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm, most people know me from detailing stuff, but my other passion, it's not a Jeep, it's family. So we have our little piece of heaven up here in Colorado, and that's where I'm spending this whole quarantine thing. Hasn't been all that bad. I mean, I'm spending a lot more time at home with Tanner, my son, he has autism and he's 13, and then my daughter Tegan, who is 6 and is she's 6 going on 16. So
right.
And my lovely wife, who we've been dating since I was, a sophomore in high school. So known her for a little while. So
Wow.
that's my happy place. I'm at home doing projects. The house and the yard and everything is kind of designed with the idea of giving these kids everything I didn't have coming up. So lots of room to play, and everything that I always wanted is kind of the goal, and slowly adding on to that over time. So
I was looking at pictures of both of you online on social media, and the thing that kept popping back at you is on the lawn tractor, putting out the ground cover for the play area for your kids, the yard, the house, and that's exactly where you should be at this stage of your life. It's pretty cool. There'll be a stage, I think, where you'll say, wow, I'm glad that's gone, and I'm sad it's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time where you look back and you're like, wow, I'm glad that's over with, but I kind of wish it was back, but I kind of don't. Then they come home and you're like, God, I really wish they would go home.
There are moments, I'm telling you, where I kind of go, it would be really nice, an apartment with no yard and single life. Those moments happen. I'm not lying, but it's one of those things you sit back and you kind of look at it, and I watch the kids play in the evening and stuff out there, and that's where I sit there and just smile. That's great.
Priceless. It's priceless. So it's pretty cool to see that, and I loved watching it. So for those that don't know, this is where today's out of. It's just out of a book I wrote that came out in 2012. So this kind of out of there. So
hey, real quick, I just want to give you guys an update. I did get us live on Facebook, so you guys are live there too.
Oh, yay. Good job. Yeah, go Chris. So, I know this is something that Jason and I have talked about quite a bit, and I think attitude is everything. And, a lot of people think that, I don't know what a lot of people think in the industry anymore. I really don't. I thought I had a pretty good pulse on the industry. And I think that the industry's been a little bit an AFib for a little longer than what I thought. But when we come out of this, as we come out of this, I should say, it's really cool to see people already coming out, how strong they've come out, is that just make sure you've got the right attitude. The thing I think I want to take, and these gentlemen will be able to take and agree with me, is here's what I'd like to see you guys. Your attitude is inspire others, motivate others, improve, be positive to others. AKA, if you don't have something good to say, don't say it. Simple as that. Why draw fire out? Super focus, but focus on what's important and then be creative. And I think this is, I saw this as I was building this deck, and so much of it, the thing that came out for me is inspire, is that, if we behave ourselves, if we're professional, if we're successful, if we spend time with family, if we spend time in our Jeep, and we put that out there, I think that inspires others to kind of do the same thing. So we'll start with Dylan this time. Dylan, something pop out on you on this slide?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody's been following me on Facebook. I've been doing this kind of my work from home daily update. So every weekday I do, work from home day, whatever. And some of it is, it's for me internally, it's for a little bit of kind of documenting this journey. I want to be able to look back on this at some point, because these are weird times. None of us on this, as old as you guys are especially, none of us have seen anything quite like this, right? And we'll probably never see anything like it again in our lifetimes. And so part of it is I want to look back on it and kind of get a picture of where I was mentally, what was going on day to day. And I post funny things. I post what just happened that day, some family things. The idea is also, too, though, I'm sharing it out there with everybody. I could write that down on a piece of paper, but I'm putting it out there because I want people to understand that you can have highs and lows. You can be frustrated. You can be happy. You can be sad. You can be proud. And the gamut of responses that I've gotten, some people have sent very nasty direct messages, like, oh, why are you rubbing it in everybody's face that you're still working, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Then other people will, hey, man, that's awesome. I'm glad you're sharing that stuff, because it tells me that I'm not crazy for thinking that, or I'm not. So even if you don't have to have a motivational speech, you don't have to be able to, you don't do the Tony Robbins and rah, rah, rah for people. Just sharing your experience and showing people that, hey, this is normal. This is how it is for all of us right now. Can be powerful and motivating and inspirational for some people. So,
I dig it. And drawing fire only means that you're being who you are, and it's pissing them off because they don't have it in their lives.
Exactly.
You know, I made a statement on a couple things where we're eating good. I was talking about how we're eating real good. And I had a couple people go off, well, that's great. You know, you got the money to go out and spend on nice food. And I said, I didn't say nice food. I said, eating good. I said, we've actually cut down our amount of money we spent on food over half because we're not going out. We're not doing any of that.
Yeah, me too.
That allowed us to eat crab and lobster every once in a while and still fall way underneath what our budget was before. So that's great points, Dylan. So Jason, what's ripping at you here?
Yeah, what screams loud and proud to me on this screen is the be positive thing. So one of my biggest struggles through this pandemic is the balancing act inside of me between accepting people for who they are and where they are, and on the other side, really not accepting what I would describe as negativity. So I think, you know, Dylan and I have talked about this too, but I've been on Facebook, I think since 2009, but I have blocked more people in the last 3 weeks than I've done since 2009. And, you know, when things come down my feed and I see all this just negativity, and each of us has a choice to spin everything that comes at us in a positive or a negative direction. We each have that choice in the moment. But I'm just really shocked by how much, you know, keyboard warriors just want to go and jab people.
Oh, yeah.
It drives me nuts.
And it's happened with some people I didn't expect it to happen with. Because of the stresses people are underneath, the influences. You know, I mean, I'm going to say 6 days in, I stopped reading and watching the major news networks. Just stopped.
Yeah, me too.
Get a couple sources that I read every day, and that's all we need. I knew you guys were going to have some great input on this. And, you know, the one thing I will say, because these gentlemen can't because of their employers, but there has been more times in the last since this thing happened that I wanted to tell certain people to F off more than my entire life. We've had to restrain ourselves, and a lot of people don't understand that, is that, and that carries stress on it. When you can't say what you really feel, there's been, I'm going to guarantee you, Dylan, sleepless nights since this has happened.
A few. I have a pattern of, especially if I'm on a computer, I'll keep a Word document open off to the side, and in that I type out what I really want to say.
Oh man, Unabomber level shit.
Yeah, and then I go back and then I do the polite response over here. That way I can't accidentally hit send on any of the things I really want to say.
Yeah.
And I still get it out. But no, I agree. It's there are times where there's things I wish I could say, but in the vein of trying to keep everything positive too, I try to have a little bit of empathy for that person, because anybody who's in that place, it's not a good place to be mentally. If you're sitting there and spinning in that level of negativity, I feel almost bad for someone in that level. I'm like Jason, I unfollow it because I don't need it. I don't need that. I'm not trying to absorb other people's problems and make them my own. But I do have a little bit of, I feel for them a little bit, because I could only imagine what it's like to just kind of live in that negative hole all the time, and just everything's bad and nothing's good and everything sucks and there's no way out. That's not a good place to be. Yeah,
Jason, some sleepless nights over the stresses of just what you've seen.
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the beginning, boy, I was really high stress, and the first probably 10 days of this, many sleepless nights. But actually, what's happened is I've just developed coping skills and better way to deal with it. And to be honest, I'm sleeping better the last few nights than I have in a long time. So I'm in a good place.
Me too. You know, and it's funny because what I tried is, you know, unfollow, unfriend, all this stuff, right? What I tried to do at first was leave the hate groups. You know what I'm saying? The groups that promoted it. I didn't even say anything. If they're allowing that to happen, not a group I want to be in, you know? So I'd leave the group. Well, if it followed me, then I'd unfollow, you know, individuals. And it's been unfortunate, but, you know, we're starting to see, I don't know how long it's going to be and what our new normal is going to be, but you know, I'm a quote guy. I love this guy right here. George Patton was something else. A good plan violently executed right now is far better than a perfect plan executed next week. I think a lot of people, the reason why I was up there, a lot of people are waiting to see what's going to happen. We're not going to know what's going to happen. We're going to talk about that today. It's just go out and make business happen. Just get busy. if you're in an area to where you can, pretty much fully operate, be careful. You know what I'm saying? Use best judgment. I think we've all learned that. We got the cooties, right? But just go. Everybody keeps saying, what should I be doing? Just go. We'll figure it out. Adjust. If you got an opportunity to go make money, but just do it wisely, Yeah. So
I think I love this quote because I think this pandemic has been a exercise in how to respond with the unknown. There's just so many unknowns about this whole thing.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to have unknowns because we don't know, especially here in California. Our lovely government is, they don't know what they're doing, and from county to county, it's vastly different. And the people are starting to get a little ticked, and so it's going to be all over the place. Now, what's things going on in Colorado? What are they? How's been the phase of bringing everything back? What's it like there?
They did a pretty good job, but the shutdown happened around the same time it did for everybody. I think it was early, kind of mid-March when we started shutting things down here, and by and large, people complied. There wasn't a whole lot of pushback to it. We also have a lot of space here in Colorado, so people can be apart very easily. We are kind of what phase one of reopening, technically phase two, I guess. So it's the same thing it is in California, though. Every county is kind of making its own decision, and then some cities are making sub-decisions upon that. And kind of to the point of the quote, it's hard you can't have all of the facts. And I said something to Chris just before we started, was that I can understand the outrage in California now. You plan for a 60-day shutdown, and then you get to the end of that, and they tell you, well, you have 60 to 90 more days. This quote kind of speaks to just go do something, because you're never going to have, nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody, the health people, the government, nobody knows what the end game is right now. So they're going to give you a date. And if you plan only to that date and go, okay, there, I have a plan, it's just going to get blown up. So why not run headlong into what you need to do? Keep your business open, do it safely, as you said, Renny, to the best of your abilities, and don't count on a 60-day timeline, a 90-day timeline, because somebody else is going to throw another change at you. I mean, how many schedule changes? I'm a communication guy for Rupus, and I've been writing communications for Italy and Colorado, and I think I've rewritten every single one of them 8 times before it goes out, because different counties have input, and then this happens and that happens, and I go, okay, well, shit, we started here, and now here we are. So just go do something. I mean, you can't sit there and wait for all the facts, because the facts aren't coming fast enough.
Well said, Jason.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think taking action is better than not doing anything right now. And everybody's making the wrong moves. You're going to make a wrong step. But like you said, Renny, it's about adapting and pivoting to the moment. And that's how you get through this.
Hey, you guys know who Ed Milet is by chance? He runs a podcast, Ed Milet. He put a post up yesterday, and I'm gonna put it up onto social media. Exactly how it stands. It says, you cannot BS your way to the top. Right now, you're not going to BS your way through this. You're going to work your way through it. Simple as that. And so just get to work. And so, the other thing I've seen from leadership up on the top is leaders become leaders by first doing, not saying, not talking, doing. And I was sitting there yesterday when I was I thought about this, Jason, in a way that we Jeep. Is that when you're leading the pack, the guy's behind you. So when we went up Gold Mountain, and all that, the guy behind you's got it kind of easy because he sees where you're hanging up. You know what I'm saying? And he can get around that. But the guy that goes up first, the guy that goes up last is usually the guy that comes down first. And so it's always going to go that way. But just move into it, man. Just move into it. You're going to make mistakes as simple as that. It's okay. A little fun. Because of Mother's Day, that was the first or the last picture of me before my mom and I got disconnected. So that was in 1966. Beautiful San Bernardino, California. So I just wanted to put a little fun up. That was me moments before I was born with my mama. So
yeah, you look similar.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's just, believe it or not, I had hair. I looked like a little orangutan when I came out. Rethink everything. I was looking for pro athletes, and I saw this picture of this guy when I typed it in, and I was like, God, man, you think this guy trains a little bit? Is that a lot of times in business, we just think that we just go do business, but you got to train yourself to do business. And this guy is a professional athlete on a bike. But I'm going to tell you, he strength trains, he cardios, he does a lot of different things. If he's into triathlon, he's swimming, he's biking, he's running. Is business is the same thing. So many people concentrate on skill sets alone, and they don't take and educate themselves, Dylan, on communications. They don't educate themselves on one of the most important things that you can learn from this entire thing is finances, and where your finances are and what you got to do. And so I really wanted to take and rethink everything, not about the current, but moving ahead in the right now. And so, Jason, we'll start with you. Anything on the kind of the rethink everything angle?
You mean rethink on the financial angle?
Any angle,
Yeah.
rethink everything.
No, I think rethinking, I think, is a moment to moment, day by day thing. Like we've been talking about already, it's really about adapting to the moment and taking action. So just kind of where are we at? What's our next step? What can we do? What can't we do? But rethinking is kind of like, I think that's the that's the modality right now, is rethinking moment to moment.
I like what you said. I think that it's you got to get your act together, and one of the things I do, I wanted to bring this up real quick, is I've talked about it a lot, is I mind map everything. I mind map every single day of my life. And especially right now, because of the emotions involved in what we've gone through. But, all of us, we are passionate about what we do, our industry, and we want to bring better skills. But yet, we're seeing weaknesses in our armor. Even the toughest guys in our industry, the brightest knights, within the kingdom, even ourselves have got kinks in that armor. And so you got to look at what were your weak points during this. And you got to concentrate on building those weak points up. So, Dylan, any input on this one?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Renny. I think that you need to, you got to work on those other skills. I mean, if you've opened a detailing business, I would hope at least you have the skills to detail a car. So practicing your polishing technique or cleaning techniques or whatever would be a good thing, but we're going to assume that you probably have a pretty good grasp on that at this point. And the complaint you always hear from guys in your various groups or you hear in discussions is, well, I'm not very good at Facebook ads, or I don't know Google AdWords, or God, I really got to get a bookkeeper. Well, now is the best time ever. You can't say that you don't have time now, because even if you're open, you're not that busy, right? Yeah. Everything's down for the most part, or you're completely closed.
Great input.
If this is not the time to reinvest in yourself and up your skill set in things that you're not good at, take a good look in the mirror and go, what do you suck at? And try and find the thing to fix that, right? I mean, there's no excuses at this point. You have all the time, the resources are there. You could teach yourself this in this time and you come out on the other side of it better. Or you can sit and wallow in self-pity or only do the things that are comfortable. So when I think of rethinking, I think of make yourself uncomfortable to a degree. Do something, get yourself better at something that you don't like doing because you need to do that. Yeah. We get inquiries all the time. People want to apply to jobs for RUPAs. What can I do to come work for RUPAs? And this applies to any company. Is the guy will tell me what a great detailer he is. And my response generally is, we don't hire detailers. We need accountants. We need communications people. We need operations people. We need these kind of things. Develop a skill set outside of making cars shiny. If you can't do that right now, you're never going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Coming from the communication guy, that was communicated beautifully. So, hey, let's talk about this, setting the bar for what we are facing. The look, feel. Oh, this is. I want to this one right here. This slide. I'm really excited about these guys putting input on. The look, feel, taste of your business. I think a lot of people just Dylan, you just said it. They concentrate on polishing paint. But what's the look, feel, and taste of your business? I think RUPAS is probably anybody globally of a brand. Especially in our industry. And what the hell were you doing in this picture, Dylan?
I was being spicy. We were playing in the academy shooting videos, and that was my polisher model pose.
It kind of it's an odd feeling, but it almost turned me on in a little bit of way when
I'll have an autographed framed one sent to you, Renny. You can hang it on the wall.
Possible come and go effect, of this thing's not going to, we're already seeing it. I put a questionnaire out to our group yesterday, and we're seeing people are excited oh, it's opened up, they're spending money, and then they back away a little bit. And I think we got to be prepared for that. Is they're going to come in hot, strong and go away, and maybe come back strong. So we're going to see waves that we're not usually looking at. Second wave, think ahead in case there are outbreaks in your community. They could shut it down again. So be prepared for that. New attitude. I'm going to leave it right there on that one, as where Dylan just went. Is your new way of thinking, new expectations from customers. I'm definitely a little more concerned about people that are entering my environment, my home environment. I want them to be going forward probably the rest of my life. I always have been, but now this cements it in. Be cautious to discount and why. So we're going to talk about that. Is don't discount your way out of this. Add in value versus discounting. Don't discount your prices. To me, I've never been if you sell XYZ product and you put it on sale, that's one thing. But to put XYZ service on sale just means it depletes your hourly income, and you don't want to do that. You can add in a great amount of value, maybe $100 worth of value with only 10 or 15 or 20 minutes worth of work, and that's a lot better to do that. The value of repeat business has never been more important. The reason why is because the people are spending the money, have the money. And so getting into those pools of people in your market that are going to keep coming back. The other thing, so many people are constantly going out and look for new customers. Why not just serve fewer better and keep going back to the same people and just get a relationship? You don't have near the amount of flow coming through your business, but you've got positive flow, good relationships, good feelings. All this stuff's good. Ski term. Is the ice trustworthy? And how this works in business right now is that, is Double Black our brand, you guys, it's named after, because Bob, Dave, and I are literally extreme skiers, not as extreme as we were, because we're all in our 50s, but we still on the mountain, when we're up there, there's not too many people that they're not skiing as hard as we are. One of the things that I always do is I've got 3 pair of race skis, and I'll go out in the first run as I want to see, is the ice trustworthy? If I put it completely on edge at 60 miles an hour, is it going to hold my body weight coming down? Well, right now you got to take it as, how many employees do you have? Do you have a big staff? Is the market trustworthy enough to carry on how you were before, or do you have to trim down some things? Do you have to be conscious of your expenses and cost? And then keep lines of communication and open. Keep your mind fresh and engaged within your reality. And what I mean in your reality is, don't look at the other guys, because we just found out for fact that 80% of the detailers lie about their success. I hate to say it. They're not.
What?
Yeah.
No.
People, and I won't blame it on detailers. I'll say business people. But detailers have got this, I don't know why, but what jumps out with you guys on this screen? What's something that really hits you? So we'll start with Jason this time.
Yeah, so the new attitude and the discounting, those are 2 things that kind of touched me on this slide. But the idea of developing a new attitude, I think that one thing, if people can develop the skill to do that, and it is a skill, it's a deliberate decision to change your attitude. And I think that is most needed by the most number of people right now.
I would agree.
And the discounting thing, I got into some debate. I forget which group it was in, but
I saw it.
Oh, did you? Yeah, it was big debate about discounting, and I like what you said. I mean, discounting an item, a product there's one strategy for that kind of thing, but when you're talking about your sweat equity, your time, your labor, and then discounting that, I would encourage people to be very reluctant to do that. And like you said, the strategy that accomplishes the same thing, because if you think about the goal of discounting, it's, to try to stimulate business and get more cars in and all that, more customers, but you can accomplish the same result by not discounting and adding value.
Amen. Well said. Dylan, what jumps out at you?
The discount one's a big one for me. I've made posts about this, and I saw Jason's argument, so I didn't jump in. We don't want to seem like the Rupus team is ganging up on anybody. But it is.
The mafia team was in there doing it, so you might
join forces and really beat them up. No, I mean I even in times that aren't like this, I'm very much against discounting. Someone who coached me for a long time, has mentored me for a long time, said something to me once, and I've said it for years, is that if you don't value your time or put a premium on your time, don't expect other people to. And so if you're ready to take your time and discount it for somebody, you cannot be the first one in line to complain when you want to raise your prices back up and they go, well, you used to do it for this price. You can't go backwards on discounts. Yeah, and I like your idea. You can add a high value thing onto your service and give it and build value in, but don't just flat go, well, it was $1,000, I'm doing it for $800 because it's the pandemic sale. Don't do that. That's crazy.
You just said something brilliant. It's going to take you long. You'll never dig out of that discount. Not with that customer. No. Never.
So that customer, you've set the expectation, especially if it's a new one. If their first introduction to you, their first taste of your business is at 800 when it was normally 1,000, and they come back and they want that service again, you go, that's 1,000. They go, well, why was it 800 the first time? You're not building, to that other point, you're not building that long-term relationship, because that customer is already conditioned to have an $800 deal when there should have been 1,000. The other piece of this too is you talked about the ski term and is the ice trustworthy. Is it financially feasible to go back to business and all those things? This touches a little bit on what I said earlier. You should have the most firm grasp on your operating expenses and everything than you've ever had right now. If you don't, and there's plenty of guys that went into this and didn't. And if you didn't spend this time to clean up your understanding of what it costs you to do business, then you can't reopen and start going back to business. Because if we do get a second wave or something, another catastrophic thing happens, the economy is going to be in a pretty bad way for a while. So if we have a humongous recession again, if you have that grasp on your finances and your operating overhead and every little facet of your business, you can turn those dials and tune yourself in to work through the next time this happens. I have no sympathy for you if you come out on the other side of this and you are in the exact same position you were before, which is you go, yeah, I think I'm, profitability maybe, I don't know, 30%, I don't know. If you don't know the exact percentage down to the decimal point of what you're making for every dollar spent, you wasted a golden opportunity. As bad as these times are, it was a golden opportunity for you to fix that and understand it.
Amen. Well said. This was one of my most exciting slides because I knew you guys were going to give some commentary on it that was going to be really valuable. Jason.
And my picture.
Yeah, exactly. That that is sexy. There's something about it, I don't know, just rubbing foreheads or something like that. Just got it. Hey, Jason, offline, we'll have to talk about that post on another time, but we won't waste any time here. So, setting yourself up for future success with the correct business systems and processes in place. Number one, and we're all in the business of educating. Confirm that you know what you think you know. A lot of people just go out there, and Jason's. We invited him to an event that we had, a training event. He has in return invited me to one. Is that here's the deal: is we're Jason and I. You'll never hear two of the most knowledgeable. Mike Phillips is the same way. I can throw a lot of other people that educate in the industry the same way. You will never hear us say that we know everything, because we know we don't know everything. Yet the layperson on the street with 24 months experience knows everything and proudly tells the universe that he or she does. My point is that I could, I felt like a 14-year-old teenager watching the Beatles when Jason asked me to come to a training. I'm like, because it's an opportunity to get constructive input. And it might not be good input. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to, I don't look at it that way. I look at it, I'm learning. I'm expanding this big old noggin of mine with more information. And I think that's something that people really got to be open to, especially, now. I think that it's changed. Automate and digitalize your business. Be able to track everything, facts versus what you think is fact. You just nailed it, Dylan. I think my profit point was, okay, well, automate it, get it digitalized. You'll know exactly what you are and aren't making, track every single job, track every single man hour. And then don't buy into the media and social media hype BS. We don't know what's going to go down. Nobody does. The communications guru for Rupes just told you he has to change it. Nobody knows. I've listened to a lot of the people that I admire that are multi-millionaires or billionaires. And guess what they're saying? They're saying the same thing. It's the guys in the middle that are trying to Monday quarterback this thing. And guess what? You're just not going to. So Dylan, we'll start with you this time. Anything jump out there with you?
Yeah, I mean, the automate thing, you should definitely, I keep touching on this, you should spend this time getting to know your business down to its intimate details, down under the underwear. You know, you need to know that thing top to bottom, inside out, backwards and forwards better than you ever have. And to the point of SOPs will change for everybody. They probably are. You have some, I promise you, if you are reopening your business, you have some additional expenses. You are either going to increase advertising. You have the new reality of purchasing or using a mask. You have sanitizing things to do, investment in equipment. People are going to be looking for sanitizing services. And I hate to break it to everybody, hitting something with steam for 5 seconds doesn't sanitize anything. You possibly have a capital investment in equipment to do these things. So your SOPs and your budget and everything is about to change. Or if it hasn't changed already, you need to be planning for it to change because you have a new reality in which to conduct business. You are not going back into business in the same world that you left it if you shut down or even if you've slowed down. So automating and getting ready for those new SOPs really is key for me. If I was running a business right now, I would be just grinding numbers. That would be what I'd be spending my days doing right now, getting ready to get back into gear. So, yeah,
well said. Well said. Jason?
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment to give kudos to Dylan because I think this, you know, the automating and systems, Dylan is actually a great example of somebody who takes, you know, processes and puts it in a system. And then the next important step, which he will preach this, is generate the data and then reevaluate and adjust. So I think, Dylan, you have other words for it, but it's this loop of, okay, do something, evaluate what you did, and now make a change and do something again. And I think that's so important right now.
Yeah. Deploy, analyze, adjust, repeat.
That's it. Yeah. So anyway, you're great at that, Dylan, and I've learned a lot from you on that. And then whether your business is 5 customers or 500 customers, there still is a need to put the structure around your business processes. And then the other thing I just want to say on SOPs, because I'm, you know, and Dylan knows this about me, I'm on a big soapbox about SOPs because I'm actually, by definition, I'm against SOPs when it comes to detailing and paint correction, but on the business side, I'm all about SOPs. But when it comes to paint correction, I believe the SOP should be a decision tree. So it is not the same thing on every car, and we actually treat that.
Yeah, no. Yeah. The process of getting through all of it's the same, but once you get to that, there's so many variables that, you know, you just can't do the same thing to the same car, you know, the different cars every single time.
And I don't believe what I've experienced a lot of detailing business owners honestly believe, especially ones with many employees. They believe that their employees that are hands-on the cars should not be able to think through decisions, and they should follow my steps step by step on every car.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. I think even the most uneducated detailer has a brain, and if you teach them the decisions, they can make it. And that's what I believe. I believe in empowering the detailer on the car to make the right choice.
George Patton's got another amazing quote. It says something to, I'm not going to hit it right on the head, but it says something to the fact, don't tell people how to do it. Tell them what to do, and you'll be surprised on how creative they are. Don't tell them how to do it. Tell them what to do, and they'll go figure it out. And, you know, if you're at a dealership, you're at a high volume, you've got to have a couple choices for them. You got to teach them. It might be just on the compounding step, 2 or 3 pad choices with 2 or 3 compounds, or it might be 2 or 3 pad choices with a couple different polishes on the polishing step. But you've got to teach them their variation and let them go, because that's the only way they're going to get better at their trade.
Well, yeah, and you want to hire people that are capable of making decisions. If you have somebody who needs somebody to spell everything out for them, they are not an employee that's going to benefit you in the long term, right?
No.
If you have to do their job for them, I used to call it brain share. You know, I used to hate when other companies work for, you get this kind of parade of people up to my office that would ask me for input on very basic decisions. And you go, we hired you to make this decision, or at least understand the situation well enough to make that decision without asking. And I hate brain share. There's the constructive part where you all come together and talk something out, or, you know, work through a problem. But then there's the day-to-day thing where the guy comes up and goes, should I use the blue or the black one? And you go, well, this is what we're paying you for, isn't it?
No, this
that's why you hate it when I come in your office, Dylan.
That would be the glazed look that I get on my face. Like,
another thing is, I just wrote down as you guys spiked me off another thing. This is a perfect time to take some different directions. One of them would be, and this is interesting, is cell phone policies into your company for new hires. Is that if I were you, if I was a business owner, I would be writing out a cell phone policy, and during the interview process, I would share that policy, because probably 50% of the candidates are going to walk away when you show them a piece of paper that says there are no cell phone usage at work. You can check it on your breaks, on your 210s, and at your lunch break. And other than that, is either in your locker, or if your mobile unit's in the vehicle. And in a case of emergency, here's our emergency contact number. They can contact us, and if it's a true emergency, and we'll get you in contact with them right away. Cell phones is the biggest waste of time. In all the shops I've been in with staff, there's nothing. I wouldn't, if I owned a shop right now, there's no way people would be carrying a cell phone on them while they're working. You know, you're losing probably 2 hours a day. If they want to play music, there's other alternatives, but a cell phone on their person ain't going to happen. If you don't have a written policy for it, you're going to run into trouble. And so, and present that when you're hiring people, because that way they can't say, oh, we didn't tell me that, you know, and know it before. So just a little bit of my soapbox. So let's jump through this next one. This is another fun one. Setting up your financial goals. Now, I love this picture. Did you take notes through this whole thing? I'm going to ask everybody that. Well, I did. I mean, you're seeing, I've got my whole desk is covered in notes right now for everything we got to do. I powwow with all of our main partners every single day. Chris and I, every single day. Savings and cash are king. We found that out right now. You want to survive episodes? We could have an earthquake. We could have all kinds of different things coming down the line at us. My 10, 20, 25, and 50% goals. When I first started out in business, I know a lot of you guys coming back into this aren't going to have a lot of money. Put 10% of it away. Every dollar you bring in, you put 10 cents away. Every 100, you put $1. I mean, just something, $10, $20, $30, something. Put something away. And if you're truly successful and you're making money, put 50% of your income away. And I'm talking gross income of what comes through the front door. If you need to pull a little bit out to pay bills, and you only pull 10% out, you got a 40% savings rate. You're going to have some serious money stocked away for a rainy day before you know it. Even if you're a small shop that's doing under $100,000 a year in total volume, if you're able to put 25% away, 5 years, you got $150,000 saved up, you're in good shape, man. For the next, you're not going to have any problems making it through when you've got that kind of money away. But if you don't put it away, it's not going to be there, and you've got to be disciplined on it. It's something that I learned at a very young age. Lines of credit. When we come out of this and everything.
Hey, Renny.
Yes.
Hey, sorry to interrupt, but on the savings thing, just one point I've learned is that this is where it's important for you to really know yourself, because you mentioned the word discipline. And for some people, the habit of savings works better if it's automated. And for other people, it works better if it's a deliberate action on your part. For me, it totally works better if it's completely automated in the background and I set the amount that gets dumped into savings and then I forget about it. And that's what works best for me.
Wow.
And then, but other people, it works best if they actually take the task of moving the money from one place to another, which I know other people are doing that and it works great for them. But this is, I think when it comes to savings, and going back to the comment about automating your systems, this is one thing. You make a decision on how much you're going to save and then set it up in the system so it happens automatically.
So Diane, I know Diane's on the line. This is one of those notes. And guys, again, I say it on every single one. I'm already taking notes with these guys, okay? If you're not taking notes, something's wrong. You know, I'm 54 years old. I'm taking notes. Diane, if you're listening, automate savings, like right now. So every time we get paid, it just goes in. Something I never thought about doing, Jason. Something simple. Thank you. I mean, how cool is that? So, and I'm telling you, if you do it every single day, and I love that because you could set it up. I've never even thought about that, Jason. You could set it on auto, and you put that money in, and it's automatically in savings. And guess what?
if you know your numbers, as we've been talking about, you know your numbers, you go, here's what I need to operate. Here's what I'm going to pay myself. Here are my bills. This is what's left over. Okay, I am going to take whatever's left over, and that's going into savings. Or I'm going to take whatever percentage of what's left over, and then I'm going to put some in open. I automate too, just like Jason. I have a certain amount that goes into retirement savings, a different goes into just general savings, and then I have kind of the fun account, which is the family vacations and stuff. So I divide up my net and say, okay, well, I've got this much left over. I'm going to put this chunk into savings for long term. This is already going into retirement. I'm going to take this little extra nugget over here and I'm going to put it into this vacation fund. So at the end of next summer, when everybody gets back to normal, we go to Disney World or whatever it is. But if you automate it, you never see the money. Or if you have an extra good month, the extra money just goes there. Instead of you kind of going, what fun things can I buy with this? If you don't see it, it's a little easier to see it go bye-bye. You know, it never touched your fun account. It went somewhere else and you kind of out of sight, out of mind.
I agree. So lines of credit, it's a great thing to set those up in good times. You know, when things kind of mellow out, banks probably aren't thinking about lines of credit right now. They might be. But to have a nice line of credit just set up, if we get into tough times where you can pull a little money out, it's good debt. It's write off debt, what I call write off debt if you're using it towards, if you're appropriating towards the right things. Run lean right now, but don't hurt your business. You know, a lot of people have misunderstood what I said. You know, hey man, you know, fire everybody. Well, don't fire everybody. You know, I mean, if you need people, don't fire the people you need. You know, just. But again, it goes back to knowing for sure what's going on, and I'm afraid that most people just don't know for sure what's going on. Get rid of bad debt. You know, you can't credit card debt, all this high interest debt. You got to get rid of it. You know. Right now, if you got a car payment, and I mean, we're looking at it. There's so many loans out there right now at 0%. I really don't want to trade up too far, but I'm looking at it because it's free money. I can upgrade my car and it won't technically cost me anything, you know, to upgrade my car. Daily, get into your P&Ls, your profit loss every day. Look at your finances every day, folks. You don't want to take and be the guesswork. And then to Dylan's point is, and I know Jason's big about this, keep your mind, body, and soul fresh account. That's what Dylan just mentioned, is put some fun money away. And most entrepreneurs just don't escape enough. But if you just put a small amount away at the end of the year, you've got enough for that 2-week vacation to go keep your mind fresh. Or a quarterly. We've got somebody in our group, Chris, in our group. He takes about 6 planned weeks off a year throughout the year to come back and get fresh. Now, they've got a nice trailer. They go out camping. They don't do anything extravagant. They do. They just, I think last year they went down somewhere. They went to Cabo or something like that for a week. He does. I mean, I'm impressed by that. I don't do that enough. He's an inspiration to me. And so any other notes on this that you guys want to hit on?
Yeah, there's good camping in Colorado. Just saying.
There is. Colorado.
Hey, one thing I wanted to say about the run lean. So I was really impressed with how my company Rupus handled this and how they treat the employees. So one of the things that I don't see many detailers doing, especially the ones with lots of employees, is Rupus actually had different levels of employees. And so there was temporary help, and then there's kind of your middle of mid-tier employee, and then there's the indispensable ones that you have to have if you're going to operate. But I just love how, you know, Rupus adjusted this and detailers with lots of employees to address the ebb and flow of the business. Why not think about temporary, you know, employees? Because at the phone call, you can put them, you can disable, I don't want to use that word, but you can put them aside and not use them. And then on a phone call, you can pull them in and use them. So yeah, just thinking about how to run lean and to do that, you know, responsibly.
We did
to build on that. I'd like to just a little bit of kudos to Guido, the owner, and everybody. We did not lay off a single employee, including those who were unable to come in. So all the manufacturing employees received their full hourly rate plus their benefits and their retirement savings for the duration of the shutdown. And we only reopened this Monday. So it's a testament to one, taking care of the people. I'm very proud to work for this company because we took care of everybody from top to bottom, whether or not they were executive upper management, could work from home, or they were assembly line workers that didn't produce a single tool for 2 months. They still went the entire time with a paycheck coming in. So it's a hell of an accomplishment.
they even let you 2 temporary guys, come in and do webcasts and stuff like that.
Are they paying you, Jason? I've been doing this as charity work.
Hey, our company, I'm really proud of our company too, because, our company kept, Diane kept Chris and I both on. She didn't get rid of either one of us. So Diane, I want to thank
she had an excuse. Now was the time, Renny. I mean, I guess she's stuck with you now.
Exactly it, No, that's great points. And, I love please feed, come into the next thing. 08 hit me in a weird way. I've been very open about it. 08 did damage to me. I was in my 40s. I was in my early 40s and was, still had young kids. It's kind of where you are, Dylan, in my life. And it hit us hard. And it hit me mentally hard. It hit me physically hard. And I wasn't prepared for it either way. And I let it get to me. And it was a very, I want to say, a 5-year struggle, to get myself back on track. Don't do that. Get yourself healthy. If you think that, you're failing, you're not failing, man. I mean, you know what? If you do, good. Jocko, says it best. If you guys don't follow Jocko, he's just a beast. But when things happen, good, but figure it out. Don't stress yourself out, and don't watch the forums, because those guys are full of shit, most of them. You guys can't say that, or can you? So we're going to take a little break time. So, Jason, you might not know this, but I am like a huge Iron Man. Like that's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a huge Iron Man fan, because the dude can fly and he likes AC/DC, so I had to ask you, where was this picture taken?
That was in an airport. So one of the things I do especially my international travels, is all of these airports have these little shops and stores, and they all use mannequins. So I have this, I post mannequins in airports. It's kind of a way to pass the time waiting for the plane ride. But this was actually at an airport. Yeah,
I had to ask you about that, because I was like, I was looking through your guys' social media for cool pictures, and like, Iron Man, So I automatically liked you more. Okay, over with the break. Here we go. Back to work. Let's go in earnest. So, a lot of us, I think, especially right now, I think this kind of describes how a lot of people, especially you LA County guys. Sorry, Chris, I keep bringing that up, but you're going to have to escape up to Big Bear. But, the phone is something that a lot of people don't talk about. And this is really where I want to tell you, Diane and I we excelled at phone service in our companies. While everybody else was really concentrating on building their websites up, because we came through that era, right, where we did have the web. We had the web, and everybody automated everything, and you couldn't get a hold of anybody. So in 2016, I contacted actually a little over 100 shops. 60% scored a D, meaning that their communication was almost non-existent. You'd call up, they asked basic questions and wanted to get off the phone, to be honest. 30% scored an F grade, meaning that I never even heard back from them. Either they didn't answer the phone, or they didn't call me back at all. And they didn't know who that I was. This was a random call. 6% scored a C grade, 3% scored a B grade, and 1% scored an A grade. Now, I'm very picky, because we are super, super anal about, in every company I've had. I worked for a big company and was an up-and-coming middle management guy and then upper management guy. And our boss we'd go into work and say, hey, did he take his pills this morning, kind of guy. He was intense. Him and I had a great relationship. But the number one thing he taught us is that, hey, man, the phone is it. Because when they're calling, if you don't do a good job, you ain't going to get FaceTime with them. You're not going to be able to meet them. And so I'm going to tell you right now, if I had a challenge for everybody, because I have a feeling if I went through and did that 100 calls, and this was random all over the country, people I didn't know, I think they would just be just as bad. I don't think we've gotten any better at managing the phones. So if you guys want to take and know how we turned a little tiny shop in a little tiny community into doing $1.3 million a year, it was phone. And I guarantee you, if you called our shop, we'd get an A grade, because we pushed it. It was either myself, believe it or not, back with our other shops, my mom was involved. Oh God, she was a master. My mom, there's no way. If she was answering the phones, I'm not kidding you, our sales would it'd almost be 100% when she answered the phones. It would almost be 100% for she was so good and so trusting. And so, guys, any input on the phone side of things? Dylan, we'll start with you this time.
I agree with you. It's key, and I think it's a lost art to be able to pick up the phone. There's a generational thing as well. A lot of these younger guys, it's like calling somebody, especially leaving a voicemail, is like, you might as well have insulted their mother. It's like the worst thing you can do is leave a voicemail. But you have to understand your comfort level is your comfort level, your customer's comfort level, and desired means of contact is theirs. And you need to, all money is green. I don't care if you want to talk to me on the phone, you want to talk to me email, DM me, I don't care. Send a handwritten letter. It doesn't matter. If you've got money to spend and I'm a business owner, I want to communicate with you. There's nothing that says you have to do this after hours. You are entitled to maintain business hours. You answer emails, phone calls from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., whatever your set rules are. But you do have to be good at all of them because you're going to get contacted in all these ways. Personally, myself, as somebody who does a lot of communications and has for a lot of different companies, I take the attitude that every single point of contact, I treat the longtime big dollar customer with the exact same greeting and welcome as I do the first time guy. And some guys reverse that. They treat the big money spenders, oh, Mr. Johnson, because this is a guy who spends thousands with me a year. How you doing? I'm so happy. And then the new guy calls and you don't know what he wants to spend and he's got a lot of questions. It becomes, well, go to the website, look at our pricing. If you do start every point of contact. Thank you for your email. Thank you for your phone call. Thanks for the message. It's so nice to hear from you. What can I assist you with today? Then you get into the nitty gritty of what's happening. If it's somebody you know well, it's a repeat customer, then you can shoot the breeze and stuff. But every point of contact should always start with a thank you for the contact in the first place. They've picked up the phone, typed an email, done something to get in touch with you. You should thank them for that because they're contacting you for a business reason. Yeah. It should not ever start with, hi, how you doing? It's thank you so much for your message, sir. What can we do for you today? Thank you so much for calling. What can I do for you today? If you can't start every message with a thank you, then you really got to work on that because that is key. Appreciation for people reaching out and wanting to give you money, or at least give you the opportunity to give you money. You should be thankful for that as a business owner.
And even calls where they're calling to complain about something, you should thank them for that too.
Everything. Thank you for letting us know you weren't happy with your service. I'm really sorry. How can we make it right? Yeah. It's such a simple thing, but it is. I agree, Renny. I don't do intentional calls, but I've called guys back who've left messages at Rupa's or other companies I work with. And they pick up their phone, and I don't know if I'm calling, a business, if I'm calling them at home while they're in the shower on the toilet. It's just, yeah, this is John. Wow. I mean, if I were a customer, that's not, and I know they don't know it's me. So it really is shocking how bad some people are at the phone thing. But all those phone manners translate just as easily to email. They translate just as easily to social media, direct messaging, text messaging. Any channel you're communicating on should follow that same pattern.
Muscle memory. And so whether it's military or search and rescue, I've learned that muscle memory is really important. Skiing, muscle memory. Polishing, muscle memory. My hands are giving me feedback on paint. I can tell, and I know you guys have done the same thing. If I get into some goopy paint that's kind of messed up and I feel like, oh man, that's a burn red, waiting to happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because my hands are giving my brain feedback, right? When you are sloppy on the phone, you're sloppy in sales. I hate to say it. When you're sloppy on the phone, you're sloppy in sales. If you can't be mechanical across the board, then you're not going to be mechanical across the board. You're going to slip, and you're giving business. Hope that I'm not in your market opening a shop. That's all I'm going to say, is because we're going to master communications. And I always tell people, God, I wish my communications at home with my kids and my wife were as good as my communications at work were. You know what I'm saying? Because they're just not. They're just not. And I wish they were. I wish I would have mastered that just as good. Any other input on this? Because it's a big one. I think.
Yeah, the other turnoff for me on phone work, and I agree with everything you're saying. I think generally detailers need to work more on their phone etiquette and phone skills. But the other big turnoff for me is the whole menu before you get to talk to somebody. And if it takes me more than 3 clicks to talk to somebody, then I'm out. I mean, I don't have patience for that.
Great point. And to Dylan's point, when you leave a voicemail, I'm the guy. I'm going to admit, I'm going to own it right now. When I call somebody, I don't leave voicemails.
I don't anymore either.
I can't.
And I'm weird with voicemails. I don't even like to get voicemails. I'm one
The
of
weird
those
thing
people.
is, though, is have you been conditioned? That's the thing I keep trying to struggle with, because I'm in the same boat. I tend not to leave voicemails, and then I'll jump and send a text, or I'll send an email. Hey, I tried calling you, weren't available. But I kind of wonder myself. This is a little bit of a social study I want to do. Is, are we stopping leaving voicemails because so many people suck at phone work, or are we doing it because we just don't want to leave voicemails anymore? And part of me starts to feel a little bit like it feels like we've almost been conditioned, because so few people call back on voicemails anymore. You go, well, if I leave a voicemail, they're not going to call me back, so I better text them so I know they get it.
Never thought of it that way, and I'd have to say you're right, Dylan. I think that's exactly my rationale when I do it. Like, okay, so Mark, if you're listening, I'm sorry to announce in public our bromance, but one of my bosses in the military, we talk about every day, and we've conditioned each other. We don't leave voicemails. If we miss the call, I just know he's going to call me back. Does that make sense? And so if I call Jason, matter of fact, I'm not going to leave him a voicemail, because you'll see he missed my call, and he'll call me back when it's appropriate. I don't get my feelings and hurt or anything else. But to your point with businesses, like we're dealing with something right now with we're the consumer. We bought we spent some money with thousands with somebody, and we're having problems. Can't get a phone call back, and unfortunately the next call is going to be an attorney, and they're going to get their attention real quick. But I would love to see that. If you get information, let me know, Dylan. If you do any little studies on that, we'll bring you back on, and we'll share what you find, because that'd be fascinating to me. Okay, this is going to be a fun one too. Fine tune. So we're going to fine tune it now. Jason, what's this picture? You're up. This was just a few weeks ago. This is during all this.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things, I'm an outdoorsy person, have to get out, but this was one of my weekend hikes in the snow. So yeah, just it's a way, and this is totally social distancing. I think I ran into like 2 people on this trail, but that was actually doing a snow hike a few weeks ago.
I love it.
Yeah.
I made a promise to myself during this. I've also woke up in the morning. I don't know where and I wish I would have remembered it. Oh, I know where I did. Is I bought a Peloton bike during all this. And one of the instructors said, hey, do me a favor. He's at the end of the workout. I was calling him really nasty names. And I'm glad he couldn't hear over the screen. And he says, hey, do me a favor. Tomorrow when you wake up, make yourself 2 promises. And I thought that was really cool. So I want to get back out, and I want to spend 40 nights a year under the stars. I'm content just camping, and I love to snow camp. And it sounds crazy, but that's part of my, my fun for, going and it's really cheap. I mean, once you buy the equipment that you've got on, it's there, right? And you get it all secondhand. So sales methods online, you got to, hone them in, because there's a lot of bad communications out there online, a lot of bad behaviors. I look at, when I'm really going to make a decision, a buying decision, I'll go in and look at people's habits online and see what they're doing. Their phone sales system. We just asked about that. Your in-person, your relationships. How are you doing with that? Is one of the things in the Mafia we practice more than anything is our in-person connections. How we're communicating. And then I would tell you, if you really want to learn to communicate better, is go make group presentations. Go to your women's club. Go to the Rotary Club. Go to your chamber, your LaTip groups, your network marketing groups. I mean, all these different things, and volunteer to speak, because I'll tell you what, you will really, really, really learn the art of communication when you do those things. So now my high points on this is, don't sell what they don't need. If they trash their vehicle, why are you selling them a 5-year coating when they're going to need a service in a year because of the way they treat their car? That's silly. Trust, respect, educate, and entertain. Is if you can get people to trust you, if you show respect and they're giving you respect back, if you educate them of what truly detailing is, and you give them a little entertainment in there, meaning that Jim Gogan does it best. In his newsletter, he gives a menu out of what's happening in his community that month. Everything that's happening in his community is listed out. That's entertainment. He's told me that he's had people come back to him and say, wow, you've got the best calendar of events out of the whole town. We know where to go by reading your newsletters. And how cool is that? So, Jason, we'll start with you this time. Anything jumping out at you?
Yeah, the group presentations thing and the communication skills, it just strikes me as, when it comes to communication skills, it really is ongoing education, ongoing self-education. So Dylan is a good example, and Renny, you are, and I am. I've been speaking in front of audiences for 25 plus years, but I know Dylan and I don't know, Renny, if you do, but we consciously make an effort to improve communication skills. We still have talks with each other about the ums and the ahs and the better ways of saying things, and fluctuations in your tonality and all these basic it really is basic communication. But the point is that it is a ongoing skill development thing. It's not one and done, you fix that, now move on to something else. It's something we always work on.
No, good point. Dylan?
Same thing. It's all continuous improvement, right? Nothing is ever finished in my world. Nothing is ever perfect. Nothing is ever done. I'm a fast talker, so I make a conscious effort to try and slow my pace down, especially when speaking to, we deal with international groups. English isn't their first language. The speed I talk at, a lot of them, they miss most of it. So I'm consciously working on that. And I ping Jason, I ping others about, hey, how was that? Was the pace good? Was the tone good? Did I say everything right? And I would say among those things, you're talking about group presentations. It doesn't necessarily, given the new reality of things, it doesn't necessarily have to be group in person. I mean, you can do this Zoom thing that we're doing right now. And Zoom offers free licenses for small groups. I mean, you can get on this and you can host small community gatherings online. It's gonna force you to do two things. If you're not a good tech guy and you're not comfortable with it, you're gonna have to do some rehearsals, invite some family in and get used to doing presentations. Then roll it out, maybe like you said, to a local club or something. Do a short demonstration on a short talk on proper car care for the local, Corvette club or something. Invite them in and say, hey, we're going to do a virtual meeting for free. I want to talk to your club about how to take care of their cars. I promise you, the more you do it, the better you get. And I go back to the make yourself uncomfortable piece. I know a lot of people hate talking in front of groups. They hate what we're doing right now. A lot of people lock up and get very uncomfortable. If you're not making yourself uncomfortable, you're not making yourself better. And so the more you do it, the better you'll get. And I promise you, if you just throw yourself into it, forget a little bit about oh God, they're going to laugh at me, and just get uncomfortable for a minute. By that third one, you're going to be so comfortable at doing it. You may not be the best speaker, but you're going to be able to run a meeting and tell people something that will benefit you. If you get that Corvette club excited about car care, well, when they need somebody, who are they going to come talk to, right?
Well, one of the best speakers in the world, and he said a lot of ums, because I counted them out, and he didn't do good without a teleprompter. But even without a teleprompter, he was one of the best speakers in the world, and it was Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. That guy, when he got on a roll, and he said ums like you wouldn't believe. Jason, he wasted us on ums, and he's president of the United States. I record a lot of what I do, and I go back and watch it, and there's nobody more critical on myself than me. And I hate it because, I'll tear it apart, but you know what? I get a little better at a time. Now, let me ask you guys this. Were you guys, a lot of people think, well, yeah, you guys are comfortable doing this. You're born to do it. Jason, were you born to talk in front of people?
No, it was definitely a skill that you work on over time.
Dylan?
No, I was painfully shy, like, in elementary school and even junior high. The idea of getting in front of a group was hideous. I hated it. I couldn't speak in front of people comfortably. It's a learned skill, just like anything else.
And it's a maintained skill. It's just like in the military, shooting and search and rescue knots. If you don't keep doing them, you're not going to have it. It's going to slip away slowly but surely. So great input. Thanks, guys. Here's the deal. Silver-tongued devil. That's what this means right here. Don't be a silver-tongued devil. Don't be so slick with your mouth that you're a snake oil salesman. The best advice that I was ever given, I'd love to hear your guys's, is that same boss, Michael Scott, that I worked with. One of the most inspiring people I ever worked with. Hardcore. A lot of people didn't like him. I loved him because he beat the shit out of me every day and made me a better person, better business person, a better manager, a better salesman, a better entrepreneur. But he taught me never get caught selling. That was a simple thing. Never get caught selling anything. And he says, if you're honest with people and you're giving them what they need and what they want, and you don't force it down their throats, and you don't try to, again, don't be a salesman. Just communicate and be a good communicator with them. So Dylan, we'll start with you this time. Best piece of advice that you've ever been given about sales?
The sales process that I learned, and this was, God, my first detail business. I won't even try and remember what year it was, but I was still in high school at this point, and I was I was finger gunning and doing a lot of, hey, yeah, I can make your car shiny.
At that point, you were just to clarify, you were detailing. I mean, was mainly horse-drawn carriages, correct? I mean,
yeah, so the beard helps with the Amish folk.
Yeah.
But a person who was running a fairly successful business that I did some business with gave me advice, and it stuck to me this day, and it's so simple and so useful, is that you sell solutions. You're solving a problem. So the sales process is identify problem, then present solution. If you can solve a problem, you're not selling, you're solving a problem. So if you say, the customer, what about your car is bothering you right now? God, there's all these scratches under the door handle where my wife scratched it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, boom, item number one. Anything else? Well, overall, I think it looks good, just not very shiny. Okay, that tells you that guy is only looking at the deep scratches, doesn't care about swirl marks, doesn't care about anything else. He wants it to be clean, shiny, and he wants the deep, very obvious stuff gone. Am I going to sell him a multi-day, multi-step, full correction, 5-year code? No, of course not. You keep feeling out and maybe he ends up there. But your first push then is, okay, this guy is concerned about the big stuff and he wants it clean and shiny. This sounds like an express detail customer with some upsell on scratch removal. Done. I have solved that customer's problems. If you keep pushing beyond that and try and sell them services above and beyond what they even realize is a problem, you're going to oversell, you're either going to blow that sale, or you're going to push them into a financial territory where they're not comfortable. There's the delicate balance between upsell and oversell.
Amen. Well said. Jason?
Yeah, so first of all, I did sales for 10 years at a previous employer, but I have to credit the best sales advice that I've ever gotten to Barry McGuire. I think he really taught me how to sell, and that was after I had 12 years of my own detail business. But actually, right here, right up there in my office, that painted hood is actually an award I was given back in 2001 when I worked at McGuire's, and it's called the Big Slugger Award, but it was the largest single sales order that a salesperson achieved at McGuire's on the professional side of their business, and that has never been beaten since. So it's a record. But the best advice I got from Barry McGuire was, we need to think of selling product in 3 different levels. So anybody can sell the first bottle of something, and if you can't sell that first bottle, you shouldn't be in sales, because anybody can do that first bottle. But then the second level of selling is the second, the third, the fourth bottle, which is all about relationship and connection to the brand. And then the other thing, the most powerful level, was selling items or services to a customer for life. So those are the 3 different levels that Barry McGuire taught me. And selling to a customer for life is all about the relationship. So what he taught us as salespeople at McGuire's was, don't try to sell the first bottle. That should be a basic, and it should happen automatically. But sell on that 3rd level where you get customers for life, and that's the best advice I ever got.
Boy, I'll tell you that resonates, because we look at, in our companies, we wanted to always look. We didn't look at the sale. We looked at the lifetime value of a customer. What we call the lifetime value is, we wanted to take and keep a customer for at least 10 years, which I'm proud to say we did. We accomplished that. It wasn't easy, but it was easy. Meaning that the uneasy part of it is it took constant contact and it took work. The easy part is that all we were was honest. We didn't trick them in anything. We had connections. Dylan and I don't know each other as well, but yet I know enough about him to know enough about him. He puts it out there, and I pay attention. There's people I pay attention to. Pay attention to your customers. Simple as that. Well, that's some great advice.
and touching on that a little bit and going back to kind of knowing your numbers too, and to your point of having a customer for life, both of your guys' points is that if you understand what your cost of customer acquisition is, and again, it's another number. If you don't know what your acquisition cost is, you have missed something and you need to be working on that. But I guarantee you it's not very low. People are not falling into your lap by accident. You might occasionally get the handoff, but you are investing something in advertising, something to attract that person. There's a sunk cost. You can take that cost and you can tie it to one job and never see that person again.
Yeah.
Or you can take that acquisition cost and you keep them for a long time. You stretch that acquisition cost into the lifetime of that relationship with that customer. And then your acquisition cost becomes a little bit more of a maintenance cost. What are you doing to maintain that customer? And it's a much lower number. Maintenance is so cheap compared to acquisition. And if you don't understand those two things, that is a piece of your business you need to dive into very, very deeply, because it is so key, especially for guys who are just starting. My God, your acquisition cost is high per customer.
Really.
And another tip on that, Dylan, you just reminded me, because a lot of detailers forget this important piece too, which is many detailers look at the time it takes to do a particular service, and they analyze, your labor and cost and all that. But how much time does it take you to actually sell that service to a customer? And you need to factor in the selling time into the time it takes to do that service. It's so important.
No, it is. And great points. I mean, we look at, back in the day, I can still tell you this, is when we first started out, our first year that we started Attention to Details, our primary company, back in late 97, was $100. That first year, it cost us $100 to go out and cultivate relationships. Now, 2 years later, that cost had gone down to about $54. A year later, that cost was down to under $30. By today's standards, I guarantee you, because the social media has gotten a little easier and so forth, it's probably in the $10 to $15 range. That's still a lot of money, but it's cheap compared to what it used to be, because we don't have phone book cost anymore. We don't have these stupid high, direct mail. If you do our direct mail, I'm a believer in direct mail again. I wasn't, but it's pinpointed. You can target it. It's not a shotgun. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and it's expense that you just nailed, Dylan, that most people just don't concentrate on that number. So you can tell you're a comms guy, So this is a really important one to me. It's something that I've done, and I'm non-confrontational on forums in social media and so forth, but it always wasn't that way. I was known for getting underneath the skin of people pretty rapidly, and I called it verbal judo. Again, Mike Scott, my old boss, taught me verbal judo. Was taking somebody on and having them not totally understand what just happened to them, and I put it the equivalent of fighting Bruce Lee. If I was to go up against Bruce Lee, the dude could be 90 years old, and I probably wouldn't know what happened to me after I woke up. He'd just take me out that quick. As I tell people to be that same way verbally in your communications with your competition. There's no need to get ugly. And that's what people I don't understand when people get ugly on these forums and stuff, because you can verbally win without going to war. You're going to see some slides in here that I really believe strongly in that. And I've really put that into action as I've gotten older, and I've tried to teach people younger to me that. So here's the biggest thing that, and if you want to win your market and own your market, is trust. Win your customers' trust. If they trust you, it's going to be hard to get anybody else to get you. They're not going to get into your knickers. Connection. Know them. There's no things about them. You don't need to be, hi, call me, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about at a connection to where there's respect. Supreme belief from others within you and your abilities is, if people just think that you walk on water in your market, that is so valuable, to have other people think so highly of your abilities and your ethics within business. If you can get to that level, is that, I always say, the best book in the world, or the best selling book in the world, it's not the best written book in the world, it's the best marketed book in the world. There's a lot of great books out there that just don't get marketed, and they never fly across our face because they're not marketed. But yet there's a lot of books that are okay, that are bestsellers, because they're marketed perfectly. There's no difference in business. The thing I love the most in verbal judo is doubt in place of trash talking. What I mean by this, I'll give you an example. I'd be talking to somebody and they say, wow, you're quite expensive. What's the difference between your services? And I'll say, that's a great question. For instance, the clear coat on your car it's only so thick and it's only got so many services. So we actually measure that clear coat when we start, and we keep track of what we're removing. Most people in the industry just buzz it away and they don't care, and your paint system could fail. The other thing on the inside is that we don't use degreasers. We use products that are formulated for the inside that don't deteriorate and cause damage to your inside like the other guys do. Did we trash anything? No. We set doubt in their mind of what's going on with well, hold on. So we'd hear back all the time from our competitors, and they'd say, hey, what the hell are you talking shit about we use degree? I never said that. You know what I'm saying? And we knew that the other customers were going out and saying, well, hold on, what do you use on the inside? So what do you guys, any input on this?
I agree with you. You can't get into these, knockdown, drag out fights in social media, and definitely don't do anything you wouldn't do on social media or in person on social media, right? You wouldn't have these verbal sparring matches with somebody out in public, right? So don't do it on social media either, just because you're behind a keyboard. But you can be defensive of your position without being belligerent. And one of the biggest compliments I was ever paid, and it still makes me laugh to this day, Chip Case, our former CEO, recently retired at the end of last year. He said to me, he says, Dylan, did you have a way in which you tell people to go to hell that they enjoy the journey? And I had to laugh, because he says you have a way of basically getting your point across without ever, I don't have to become belligerent. There's no choice 4-letter words. There's no insults. It's a point counterpoint. So kind of what you're saying, Renny, you can present your point in a very methodical, intelligent, logical way, and you don't have to throw anybody under the bus to do it. We do this. You can leave it there. You don't have to. You could say the other guys if you have to, but we do. This is what we do this because if you do this, this problem happens. That's it. You don't have to attack anybody. And another quote I like is, nobody's ever built a nice house by stealing bricks from their neighbors. It's you build your own foundation. You stand on your own 2 feet. You present what you do, or how you do it, or what makes you superior. That's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go, we're great and the other guys suck. This part doesn't need to, the other guys suck part doesn't need to happen. It's, we are great and here is why.
That's exactly it. Okay. In case you're right. One of the greatest minds, you guys work with this guy. Every time I was around him, Chip was just, you talk about it. He's a true Renaissance man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. I could sit there and talk life with this guy endlessly. I mean, it's just, I sure miss seeing him. I really miss seeing him. So Jason, what snaps out at you right now?
Well, the trust thing for sure. I think there's a great book I read, High Trust Selling, I think was the title of it. But I think trust is kind of a basic foundation for good relationships, whether it's a customer relationship or not. And then the other thing that's not on here that I'm thinking of as I look at this is respect. So, right. I mean, whether you're on social media, and I don't know what happens to people where they just all of a sudden have all this bravery, and when you're typing on a keyboard, you, like Dylan said, they end up saying things that they would never say face to face to somebody.
Yeah.
And I think just common respect is a good way to get your point across.
Yeah. I always tell people, talk like your mom's sitting there next to you. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't work for everybody, but it's, there's no reason for it. And I just, I'm going to get into these next slides because I think they're great. This is something that, The Art of War, I read this book when I was a teenager, believe it or not, 18 or 19 years old. It's got so much to do with life. And, The Art of War is about war. The book is a very old book. I've got a condensed version that my daughter bought me. That's kind of all the key. And I read it at least once a year because some of the quotes, my favorite quotes, are going to be in here right now. But if you have not read this book, it's something that you need to read. And a lot of the skills that the book talks about is still taught in War College today. It's unbelievable. So have you guys read that book?
I haven't, but I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I haven't read. I have a condensed version, like you're talking about, with kind of key. It's kind of the Art of War for Dummies version.
Yeah.
But I do. It's one of those, like, I got to read it one of these days in its full context. But it's powerful stuff.
My book's falling apart. I mean, I've owned it, for 30 plus years, and it's unreal. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you're weak. I put a quote up a couple years ago, and it says, "You act rich, I act poor. We're both liars." It's because, again, is that, you draw out and I don't want to draw. Listen, business is business war. It can be. I mean, when we went in, you go up against a guy, and I'm not bragging. I'm very aggressive in business. I'm very aggressive. We don't trash talk. We beat, and we don't undercut. We come in the most expensive. That's not easy to do. But the thing is, I come in with a serious goal in mind, and I'm not going to stop. One of them was this, is that to our enemies, to our competition, they thought we were the new guys. That was the best thing I wanted to do, is think that we had a struggle in front of us. You know what I'm saying? You think that all you want, but appear weak when you're strong, and strong when you're weak. Is I see these guys, and I'm sure you guys both get them, is you get these glamour emails from guys saying, "Oh my God, I watch everything you do. And, I'm just a young guy starting out. And I really, and I'm like, dude, you're no different than me. The only difference is I've got seat time, is I'm a lot older, but here's the deal. Here's some bullet points to success. And if you're going to listen, great. This is another one, is that in the midst of chaos, there's also opportunity. And we're in a little bit of chaos right now. And I'm telling you right now, little bit. We are striking. I'm striking in a different, Chris and I are putting a lot of things together, and we're changing our business. This today is part of that change, as we put this into motion. But there is a lot of chaos in your market right now. While everybody is out of control, I like to say, I call my businesses controlled chaos. Is meaning that I'm a little nuts. I'm ADD, probably on the verge of ADHD now that I've aged. A little out of control. I'm actually not a bad speller, like people think, but I don't blame them for thinking that, because I put things up so fast that when technology changed and when I went from writing to typing, it got real bad. When it went from typing to texting, it got horrible, because I think faster than I can write, and I don't spell it, and I'm so excited to get it out there. I just put it out there and like, what the hell does that even mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have no idea what that means. But in the midst of chaos, there's a lot of opportunity right now in a lot of markets. And if you sit quiet for a bit and you listen to your market, it's going to whisper to you what it's looking for. So Jason, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, especially about, the winning and losing is a fascinating topic for me personally, because, my education's in psychology, so I think about these things a lot. But in the world of detailing, in the business and the industry of detailing, and if you think of a local market with competitor, competing against each other, in my view, we have to really define what we mean by winning. And I think that a lot of detailers, in order for me to win, that guy has to lose. And I don't necessarily believe that's true. I think that in a local market, you can have multiple winners in that market. And you don't necessarily have to stand on the shoulders of your competitor in order for you to be superior. Like what Dylan said, just you can put your best foot forward and have it be all about you and not about them.
Amen. God, well said. For a long time, I thought I worked off of my ego when I was younger. The bigger I could get, I think it's because I wanted to take. I never knew my dad growing up. He was very successful in business. Still don't know him. I was competing with him, believe it or not. I was angry at him, for leaving us and me never having, kind of having a rough childhood. And it took me a long time to get over that, is I didn't need to compete with him. I didn't need to compete with anybody. And actually when it really came to head was when I met him. I didn't feel that way until I met him. And he got into my mind a little bit, and it really screwed with me. It really did. I let it screw with me. It's not his fault. It's my fault. I had a really bad attitude about it. And as I slowed down in my 20s, I had the right attitude. And then I got the wrong attitude for about 10, 12 years. That's about the time that we met Jason. I was just all screwed up. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't screwed up. I've never been a drinker. I've never been a partier. I paid my bills. I paid my taxes. I've served. I've done all the right things. But the one thing I screwed up on was I really beat me up. I didn't need to be the biggest. I didn't need to be the best. I needed to be happy. And I love that point that you just made. So Dylan?
Yeah, a lot of the same. I mean, I think all of us at some point in our lives, especially when you're younger, it's you come out beating your chest and I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest. And and if you are an independent business owner or anybody with any level of success, you're a competitive person by nature. You have to be competitive in order to succeed in life. You have to be goal oriented and goal driven. And part of that is being competitive. But I like what Jason said. You don't have to stand on the shoulders of your competitors. And so kind of back to the quote that I said, I love my analogies and I always use these to illustrate things is, nobody built a nice house by stealing bricks from their neighbors. Well, let's think about that real literally. If you take that and you say, think about, everybody understands property values. If you tear down every house into a pile of rubble around you and build yourself a mansion, your property value went down because every house around you is now a pile of rubble.
Man,
That's
wow. Okay,
So
high five me right there. that was the quote of the day right there.
Thank you. Wow, that's good.
That was the quote of the day right there, Jason.
I didn't know it was the quote competition. I win. No,
you took Viagra this morning, didn't you?
Yeah. But it's as simple as thinking of it like that. If you eviscerate the competition and level everything, you are not going to fully service that market. You can't possibly. You can't grow fast enough to service everybody in the market. You're not going to provide services that meet every need in that market. So a successful business exists in a market where there are competitors, and you can be the best guy, and there can be competitors, but don't drop the property value of your neighborhood in the process. I guess is probably the way to sum that up.
It's funny because Jason doesn't know this, but in our 5-day training class, there's only 4 students. Several people I quote multiple times. Jason's one of them. Mike Phillips is another one. And now, Dylan, I'm going to do a whole session on that. No, seriously, I'm dead serious. And I give credit. I'm very good. Everybody will tell you. I don't steal other people's things. I give credit where credit's due. That is something that I'm going to actually build on a little bit and go into about a 5-10 minute lecture. We've got what we call an hour-a-day marketing program. And that's something that the reason why I'm so excited about it is you just said it better. I didn't master the English language until I was about let's see, I'm 54, so I still haven't done it. So you saying it that way, it really puts it into a brilliant pattern. So wow. I mean, that is just
Thank you.
I would say something else. I'll call you afterwards, and we'll have a little pillow talk and I'll go from there. But that was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. I would go into markets. I remember when we came into the market in Sun Valley, Idaho, there's 7 other detailers than us in a market with 25,000 people. Now, it was a very fluent market, right? But there's just every wannabe was a detailer. Everybody that had a bucket, was a detailer. By the end of that first year, we were down to about 3 of us. As we came in and we showed what detailing truly was. It wasn't too difficult. It sounds amazing. It wasn't hard. It really wasn't. By today's standards, the highest level guy was probably one of our lower level guys, in that market. But here's the deal. I never fired a shot. I went in there and just proved it with our great service and communication. I proved it by being wholesome. I proved it by delivering outstanding quality. And I did it by being double the price of anybody else in town. And so how do you go through it? We actually took the market down 2 years after our second year into it. It was 2 of us. Then it would bump back up. It'd go back down to 2 of us and then up to 4, 5, 6 of us and then come back down to 3 or 4 of us. But here's the deal. It's our best competitor, meaning that somebody that was really good, Carl's Ultrashine. I think Carl's still doing it up there. I wanted him around because when people would call, they'd say, hey, is there any other detailers in town? You're pretty expensive. Yeah, call Carl. Carl's the only one I trust. Other than us, and it was. He's the only other one to trust. but he was within 25, 30 bucks of us. He was, now it was just down to who did better customer service. And I like those odds, you know?
Mm.
And then Carl and I decided that we wanted these two crackheads that were in town. We needed them too, because they did the work what neither one of us wanted to do. And so we kept them busy, and they're making $4.95 an hour, you know? And literally watching them, it was like Jurassic Park when the raptors go crazy on each other. It was awesome, you know? And so, you know, we never threw a blow, and we won. And I still think, I wish more people would look like that. And I've got one guy, Jamie Buchanan, he's down in the South. Jamie's this little dude. He's a hillbilly dude. You look at him, he doesn't have 2 cents. His operation before this happened was doing about $2 million a year, doing a large volume. But he was also building up, about half of that was retail. And Jamie doesn't look like he's got 2 cents to his name. He talks like he doesn't have 2 cents to his name. He's one of the most successful, happy guys I know. And all of his shit is paid for. He doesn't have any debt. He doesn't carry debt. And the guy's got a heart of gold. He's a very faithful-based guy. You know, he does a lot with youth groups and stuff within churches and camps and everything else. Here's a guy that gives more than anything. He's killing it down there, and he never shoots a bullet at his competition. How cool is that? So thoughts on this, you guys?
Yeah, I think competition is one of the best things you can do to advance your business. And I think, you know, I'm aging myself, but I started detailing at a time when a lot of the selling process early on was educating customers on what I do. So, I mean, I was a mobile detailer, and I had to educate customers what that means, because you know, the average consumer of detail services now, they know what detailing is. Mm-hmm. But back then you had to, like, yeah, I really come out to you and I do. So anyway, but then there was this phase where I had competitors and I loved it. And within the first 5 minutes of conversations, I would quickly refer people to my competitor, like you did, because I'd say, oh, I think I understand what you're looking for, but I don't do that. I'll send you over to this guy because he does that. And then there's this long pregnant pause on the phone, like, well, but you're a detailer, he's a detailer, how come you don't do that? Well, I do this at a different level. And then you begin to explain to them about you're on a different level.
Right. Yeah. You know, referring over to, it was funny because Carl and I we would take it when somebody come in and say, I was looking at about $100, we'd say, hey, go over to CHD Detailing. They're really good at that. And so finally, after about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years of that, these guys finally called us and they said, hey man, we appreciate you guys calling, you know, sending people, but the name of our company is not CHD. Why do you keep doing that? And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't realize it. Crackhead Detailing. And so we kept calling it Crackhead Detailing. The customer didn't know. We never told anybody, you know, so I guess I just got it out of the bag now. But we liked having a resource, you know, to send the people we just didn't want. So Dylan, you got any input on this?
Yeah, it actually ties in with that, because my second detail business was focused almost entirely on high-end collectors. I'm talking people with 50+ vehicles that needed, it was operated under the name discrete detailing. I didn't take pictures. There was nothing. It was, you could pay me to come in, and we did these are people who didn't want people to see all the cars, right? And at the time before social media, so it would have been a great business model to have now. Hey, I'm not going to post everything I do for you online. But my business was able to exist at a premium because the low quality option existed. A business in a vacuum, if there's no competition, is just that business. It can't be high, it can't be low, it's not good, it's not bad, it's the only, right? You have to there has to be other levels below you. If you want to be the best in the market, don't be angry that there's the $50 bucket brigade below you. They help you establish your value. Without them, I mean, everybody wants to be the $13 restaurant hamburger, right? If McDonald's doesn't exist, there's no desire for the $13 restaurant hamburger because it's the only hamburger. But if McDonald's exists and sells a $1 hamburger out there, and people go, well, I want a better hamburger, then they want a $13 hamburger, right? You have to be if you want to position yourself as the best or the premium or top of the market or highest quality, whatever it is, there has to be stratification to the market. You can't produce that stratification yourself. You can't be the worst and the best at the same time. So somebody else has to be the worst or provide a lower level of service. And then there's all those rungs in between, those people that you would go, hey, you know what? That's not really what we do, but these guys, they focus on that and they actually do a solid job for that type of work. Here they are. Then to your customer also, you look like a consultant, not a greedy sales guy, not the silver-tongued devil, right? You're going, hey, that's just not what we do here, but I have a guy that I would refer you to that I think has that need for you covered.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
Amen. That's great, man. I love it. So one last one. Every battle is won before it's fought. And my point to putting this up is that you're pre-planning. You're planning. There's a reason why in the military and search and rescue is that, I've been really fortunate in the military. I've done some fun things called Op4, where we play the bad guys. So we get to dress up whatever these guys are going over to encounter, whatever part of the world. We study the tactics of their opposing party that they're going to be fighting, and then we put that battle on for them so they're a little prepared, right? And one of the greatest things to do is watch these special forces just walk through us like, a hot butter knife and butter, is how much pre-planning they do and how much muscle memory they build up. And I'll tell you, your pre-plan, if you've got a good business plan, you've got solid finances in place, and I started with nothing. You can start with nothing. I mean, it's mine. Again, I show this almost every time. That's where my start was. I'm one of those guys. If you want to start with nothing, go for it, But here's the deal. You better have a really good plan in place, because that's what I did. I started with nothing, but I knew what my mission was, and I had goals and time goals set with that. And so, here's the deal. Right off that last slide, and what both Dylan and Jason just said, if you pre-plan for all this, the answer's already there. You don't have to start on the bottom. Matter of fact, don't start on the bottom. I want to start on the top. I know where I'm going, and I know what I am, and I know what I'm going to offer, and there's no need to start on the bottom. Now, you're going to have to go through some learning curves, some rough times. Your freshman year is a lot of people think, oh, my freshman year, 1 year into it, man. No, remember selling that first bottle, Jason, that Barry taught you? Is that those first 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, are selling that first bottle. It's going to take you a while to get foundation, but I'll tell you, we've got people now that in 5 or 6 years are where it took me 20 years to get, and that's exactly because of there's gentlemen like this today sharing their knowledge with us, and you can cut that time down drastically, but you're not going to be, Rome wasn't built in a day, and so to build your wealth up is going to take time. So Dylan, we'll start with you this time.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it. I think it goes to understanding your business. It goes to pre-planning and all those things. And then what we said early on, don't over-plan though. Don't wait for the right moment. Get your plan together and go and learn to adjust. The cycle that Jason talked about that I do is, it's deploy, analyze, adjust, repeat. I mean, you send it out there, get ready, go. Look at it, study it very carefully for that first little bit. Then pull everything back and go, okay, what worked, what didn't work? Turn the knobs, adjust the EQ, do this, and then send it back out. And it's a continuous process. That cycle should always be going. But you have to get started, and you have to have at least some plan of action to get going. But if you don't do those, so to the point of it's won before it's fought, is your success is going to be predicated on the planning. And it's not just a one-time plan and go. It's a plan and then plan again and plan again and plan again and keep adjusting, keep tweaking, keep refining, keep making it better. If you're in a market where you're competing, if you stay internally focused on improving your business, you will climb those rungs very fast. And if you do deploy yourself as that premium or top of market brand, you may not have the highest volume right away. Doesn't matter. You don't have, I mean, your point about flavor, Renny, what's the flavor of your business? Are you that $1 value menu McDonald's cheeseburger, or are you that $13 restaurant burger? Whatever it is, doesn't matter if you sell 1 or 100 of them, be that until you get to that level.
And make sure you're not the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Make sure that your curtain doesn't get taken down. You're full of shit. Pay your price. Learn what you're doing. Be legitimate. But, the Wizard of Oz, the great wizard, he got shown. He wasn't a great wizard. He's a little old dude behind a curtain.
Behind a curtain.
And so you got to make sure that you're not him. So, Jason, input.
Yeah, so my mind went somewhere else on this, although it's really relevant to what you're talking about here. But I was thinking more as a product developer, and I know, Renny, you are, and Dylan, you are a product developer, and I think of developing products for detailers, and in the back of my mind through a whole product development process is I'm asking the question, what would I need to do to have the highest level of confidence that the product is successful before the launch.
Amen.
So
Amen.
it's all about the preparation, the validation, and I strive for this every single product that I'm involved in. We want to guide the team to the point where we are so confident, and it's all about that confidence before you enter the battle, like in your quote here. What would you have to do to have the level of confidence that before you even get on the battlefield that you already know you won? And it's a very, very important question to ask, because it grounds you back into, okay, what do I need to do to be prepared?
I love it. And, Rupes has done a great job. They're notorious. You don't take, as a company and as a brand, you don't take anything lightly. And everything, it seems, I'm sure it's not, I'm sure it's more chaotic, controlled chaos again, when you guys are introducing, but it seems to flow so easy. It's just like smooth jazz, when it comes out. But you guys have done just a fantastic job, of introducing new products and new opportunities and education. And again, it's a 360 wheel, with your guys' brand. You've got everything. You've got, the tools, the products, the people, the education, the support, and the branding, and then repeat to doing. I've got something that I do. It's called Dream, Vision, Plan, Execute. And it's, the dream stage. Dream about what you want to do, what you want to be. then take and go through and vision it, really write it down on paper, from a dream to paper, and then plan it, and then go out and do it. And I think that's where we're at right now, is let's go out and do it. Let's get it done. So, hey, guys, I can't thank you enough. Rupes, Team Rupes, two of the main guys. The whole team, I'll tell you, I met the Italians. Most of us did, right, before they're even in America. And if you've got the opportunity to meet, you'll know why they've been successful. Because, they were in the early days. They were Renaissance in the industry. They brought a breath of fresh air when we needed some rescue breaths pretty bad. They brought a new level. I think that you guys have changed the game in so many ways, not just with your tools and innovation, but I think even more importantly with the education, the vision, and the marketing. I think that just what you guys, the message you've sent out, has instilled and inspired a whole generation of detailers and including myself. So I want to thank from top to bottom. I love that you pay tribute for your company, keeping you guys on. I think that's huge that you pay respect to that. But we want to thank you for coming in. So, hey, Chris, any questions, comments? I know we went a little long on this one, but wow, how could we not? Maybe we're that boring where we put Chris to sleep. We might have put him to sleep. Chris, you there? He's not. So let's go back. Cheeseburger theory. I love it. Boom. Let's see. Mark Nelson, 11. When people take my kindness for weakness. I love that, Mark. That's great. Bob Phillips adds in, great job, gentlemen. So many useful nuggets to work and live by.
Mr. Phillips, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm back.
Oh, hey, there he is.
I was muted in the system, not just at my mic.
Oh, there you go. So I'm just walking through. Anything pushing that we want to open up to these guys? It looks like a lot of thank yous.
Yeah, I did have I had a question on Facebook that I'm trying to go back and find. It was a little while ago, but here it was. What topics of education do you guys suggest for a group presentation? So, like, if you were presenting, I guess to your clients or something, without coming across too salesy.
My thing is, Jason nailed it earlier. A lot of people don't understand what detailing is. They still don't. And I think just I would bring it at an angle. I would take car care from their own angle, that you're not trying to sell them, that you're actually educating how to take better care of their car themselves, but then throw in little nuggets that this is what we do for our clients that don't wish to do it themselves. So kind of educate them, even share products with them that they could use. because there's going to be like 4 or 5, there's going to be like 10, 15% of the group that don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to sound like a hero, and it's just going to build up your brand. You're going to be likable and all that. So what do you guys say?
Yeah, I would actually, oh, sorry, Dylan.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just expand a little bit, Renny, on what you said. If I were a detailer now in business, I'm not in business now as a detailer, but if I were, I would be doing, through this pandemic, I would be doing Zoom, events open to all my customers, and I'd be teaching them how to maintain their own car. Because the fact is, a lot of people sitting at home, they're working on their cars in their garage, and I'd be educating them on car care. I'd be showing them how to polish, machine polish. And like you said, the reality is once you take the time to teach them what all this detailing is about, many of them come to the conclusion, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that. I'm hiring you to do it.
Amen. Amen. Dylan?
Yep. Same. And I would add to that, always leave them wanting more. So if this is going to be a regular habit, which we can probably foresee for some parts of the country, you're going to be without the ability to get in large groups for some time. Set it up, reach out to that local. I use the Corvette Club because there's almost one in every city, but I used to do it for Porsche clubs and things like that in Southern California. And it was, hey, we're going to have a tech day and I'm going to teach you clay bar. And for us as detailers, that's such a, well, come on, everybody knows that. But the reality is most people don't. So
No.
if you do a short 30-minute webinar for a car club and says, hey guys, this is free. All you need to do is show up and I'm going to explain to you the basics of why a clay bar treatment to your car is important. Make some product recommendations to Jason's point. And then you leave the end of that and say, hey, if this was interesting to you guys, here's my contact information. Send me an email with something you'd like to see in an upcoming topic. And maybe next month I'll get your club together and we'll talk about the proper way to clean wheels or proper car washing techniques or how to clean leather or whatever. Don't dump everything on them. Yeah, the one thing that I see detailers do in their sales technique and a lot of things is they tend to just info dump, diarrhea of the mouth. They just and talk way over the customer's head, explain the minute details of everything that customer doesn't care about. Don't do this in this format either. Give them digestible content. Think about somebody who doesn't know a thing about what you're about to talk about. Present it in a 30-minute chunk, little nugget of information, and then set yourself up. Leave them wanting more, going, if this was useful, what do you want to hear next?
Yeah.
And then you've got this rotation. And then that Corvette club guy, maybe he's also in a Mustang club, or he's got a buddy. Hey, I hear you're doing this for the Corvette club. Would you do one for me? Sure. How about we merge the groups? We'll get a bigger audience together. Or yeah, I'll do one for your group. What do you guys want to learn about? You can keep building that. And even when this all goes back to normal, you can transition it to live events. Oh, for hell, keep doing them virtually. I mean, people are going to be so acclimated to this new normal that they'll be perfectly comfortable with the idea of, even if they could come see at your shop, maybe it's just easier to do it online.
Amen. Great points. Hey, Patty gives us this is a book. I'm actually going to have Diane. I've heard it many times. I haven't read it, but The Richest Man in Babylon. I've heard this, Patty. Thank you so much. She says it was recommended from her it's all about financing. And I think that I kept hearing this book up. So I'm going to have Diane order that book. I've kept hearing, this is like the 10th time. So why I haven't ordered it is beyond me, but let's get that going. That's a great add-in. So thank you, Patty. So Chris, anything else pushing?
Not at the moment.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. We just officially, this is the longest webcast that we've done.
Hey.
Here's bragging rights. Chris, when we put this into podcast mode, let's do it in 3 or 4 sections. Session 1, session 2, session 3, maybe session 4. I knew it was going to go long, and because of the topics and who you guys are, I want to thank you guys for not just today, but for all of your input for a career length of what you've put into the industry. Accept my challenge is that I want to take the hate out of this industry by being leaders of that, where I'm just not going to get in debates. I'll get in a debate, but as soon as it turns hateful, I'm out. And I think this needs to be across the other thing on my personal page. I'm going to start trying to go about 80% personal and 20% business. Is if people don't want to know me for who I am, they can go follow our business pages. We'll just sprinkle a little bit of professional stuff in there. But I think we need to get back to knowing the people, versus what we do, who we are, And so I had great fun, believe it or not, going in and researching the pictures I wanted to use, because it gave me an opportunity to look at, you know, I mean, I'll be direct. I don't go on social media much anymore. You know, I don't like where it's gone. I just don't. And so it was fun for me to dig into your guys' profiles a little bit and see pictures of you guys, you know, and outside of our monkey suits, you know.
Mhm.
And so it was pretty cool. So guys, I want to thank you for coming in, and hey, reach out to these guys and give them some support and some kudos on social media. Just tell them if you appreciate it today. Make sure to let them know. You know, this is 2 hours out of their day. And Chris, thanks for putting all this together. Jason, thank you. It's always nice. We've had about 20 years of friendship now. Dylan, it's been awesome to watch you mature and grow, see the family come up, and I'm glad you guys are in Colorado. And Chris, I'm really sorry you locked down. I'm going to go for a walk without my mask and take a picture. So, all right, guys. Hey, happy telling everybody. You guys take care. Thanks,
Renny.
We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you, Renny.
See ya.